Hockey fans, we had our premiere in Elite Power Rankings week last week, and oh boy, did I get some calls from some hockey coaches, both happy, sad, angry, defiant, and happy to be a part of the best show in junior hockey. We've got an even better one for you today. We've got NCDC action aplenty. We're talking all things National Collegiate Development Conference, the Tier 2 league in North America. All right, time for Dan K's Three Things. It's been a while since I've had a Three Things. We've been on the road, we've been traveling around, we've been doing power rankings. We haven't had the time, but I had some time, and you know whose time came on Tuesday night? Mr. Alex Steves, the former 16U and 18U star, playing under now NCDC coach Clint Edinger with the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs. Alex made his debut for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Don't say toe. Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs get a beauty in Alex Steves. Congratulations, Alex, on the incredible night for you. Thing number two, the Holiday Follow Challenge is going on, and for the first time in program history, the Rum River Mallards have quacked their way to the top of the pecking order. Be careful for the Ducks. They will battle you. Thing number three, we've got to talk NCDC hockey, and where I go to start talking NCDC hockey, where I would look first, and I'm thinking, who would know about the NCDC? Who would care about the NCDC as much as I do? Who watches more NCDC hockey than anyone I know? It's probably my right-hand man. It's probably my consigliere. It's probably Mon Frere from Another Mayor, and the only man who's crazy enough to attend the Gasparilla Bowl with me this December, Lucas Jones. What's going on?
Chomp, 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 chomp. We are now huge Gators fans. As of this moment, we bleed blue and green. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, I think the only thing may be more fun than picking bowl games at random and attending to them by a long shot here, Dan, is looking at this NCDC standings, because yes, we went in and we did a deep dive on our Premier and Elite. It takes us all week. It really does, folks. Between the research, the standings, the discussions, the debates, my editing, you are just blown out and exhausted on the Premier and the Elite. You saw the J rating stuff come out yesterday. That's pretty interesting, but now we get to do some NCDC dives. And if you're a Premier and Elite player, you're not following along with what's going on, especially with your affiliate for your local Premier and Elite team. What are you doing? Let's go. Let's figure it out.
And we're going to figure it out today, Lucas, because there's one thing I haven't been able to do. It's figure out who is the best team this year in the NCDC. You look at this past week here to start off the month of December, coming out of the Thanksgiving break, everyone's had their turkey. Usually you'd think things would be a little sluggish, right? The cream usually rises to the top at this time of year. You find who the pecking order is, like what the pecking order is, who's top, who's bottom. You still haven't gotten there. The Philadelphia Hockey Club sits in last place right now in that South Division, Lucas. They swept the Rockets Hockey Club this past week, and a team that went to the Deneen Cup final last year and were a win away from winning it all. It's upside down. It's inside out. You don't know where this thing is going. Talk to me a little bit about your kind of impression of the NCDC halfway through this season.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me, there's always a stat that leaps out at me when I'm looking at leagues, and it's the goal differential. The reason why I think this stat is so important for a bird's eye view of a league is because it tells you what the sort of stratification is of the teams, right? Sometimes you'll see a team that's way, way up in the plus, and then you'll see a team that's way, way down in the minus. What does that tell you? It paints a picture of a league that flies on opposite ends of the spectrum, where you might have some teams that are having some trouble. You might have teams that are running away from it, but that's not the case this year. And not only that, Dan, you've got teams with negative goal differentials higher than teams with positive goal differentials. To me, that paints a picture of what the NCDC has been talking about this entire time, which is that these teams are very competitive week in and week out. You yourself mentioned the Philadelphia Hockey Club going in and beating the Rockets Hockey Club, beating them solidly. You've got split weekends all over the place. And if you look at the past 10 games for a lot of these teams, they're hovering around 500.
Yeah, and you talk about goal differential. Two teams in the entirety of the NCDC have more than a plus 10. Two teams. They're both at the top of the South Division in PAL with 12, a plus 12, and then the Jersey Hitmen with a plus 35. There was one really handsome, intelligent broadcaster who at the beginning of the year looked at a little upstart in Wayne, New Jersey, just an engine that could, you might say, and saw these underdogs sitting at 5-5, just 6 games into the season, battling, chugging along the tracks, and he said, I think these Hitmen guys might be pretty darn good. Well, guess what, Lucas? We sit here now. They're atop the South Division, 15-7-1-0. That's after starting 3-3. This was a team that, on their own rink at the Hitmen Classic struggled. They struggled to find a way to win hockey games at that time. Since then, a completely different squad, 7-3-0-0 in their last 10. Is this murderer's row again? Are the Hitmen back atop the NCDC? Are they the team to beat for another year? What are you looking at?
Murderer's row, no. I don't think this is the same Hitmen team that we've seen the last 2 seasons. I think that'd be incredibly difficult to recreate with a lot of that talent. And that is nothing against the guys that are here now. Because if you go and you watch a lot of the guys that are here on this year's current NCDC team, they are incredible. And a lot of the talent up down the NCDC shares that moniker. There's a lot of great individual talent. Right now, it's just the team that's able to put it together. The Hitmen are that team, 7-3-0 in their last 10. The overtime wins kind of stand out to me, Dan. Those 3 overtime wins as well. You just look at the way that they've been able to put those streaks together. That is the biggest thing. If you can put a streak together, especially with how up and down the rest of the league is, you're going to jump up a few spots. I do think that this proves that the Hitmen do have something innate about that organization, probably something named Jim Hunt and Toby Harris, that year in and year
Bobby
out.
Reese
really,
as well, Deb, you look at the whole team there, right?
Yeah, exactly. They really continue that legacy. It is that you come into a system. There is not a question about what you're walking into in that building. So I think the Hitmen are back in terms of their team chemistry. We all knew it was only a matter of time. I think they're a scary team for sure, but I do not think they have the specter of being unbeatable that they've had in previous years. I think there's a lot of challengers out there. I don't think it's victory assured.
Yeah, and obviously got Patrick Marcinkovic, and he's got his brother in town now who's just helping him score more than ever. Most points in the NCDC right now. We'll talk about some of these league leaders in a bit. Dylan Lugris has just been the guy for me this year, right? Like, he takes on the biggest role because he takes on the role of the supporting cast of everybody. When you look at Dylan Lugris, he to me feels like that. He's the, what's it called, Lucas? You're good at this. You're probably good at architecture. The center stone in an arch. What is that called? What stone? The keystone. This is the keystone of this Hitman side. This is why Lucas is on the show, because I don't know words. I know big stone, little stone, medium stone, big stone, middle stone. That's what I know. But Dylan Lugris is that. You know what I mean? And he holds this thing together. And speaking of holding it together, Lucas, I got to look at the rest of this NCDC right now. If I were making, we make our power rankings in the Premier and Elite. If I had to pick a number 2 right now, funny thing is, you talked about your importance put on goal differential. I don't always put the same importance on it. Like, for me, I'm from the Patrick Waugh school of, if I'm losing, what's the difference between 7 goals and 1, right? Like, a loss is a loss at the end of the day. I want to win. Obviously, I want to win every game. But a loss is a loss. But you look at the next team, and I think it's PAL right now. Usually it's been Boston in the past couple of years. It's been IHC in the past. I think it's the PAL Junior Islanders right now. I think PAL, number 1, and a stellar broadcaster in Brian Rascona. And this team right now with Coach Marcoux behind the bench has got it going.
Well, I mean, look at the top 4 scorers on that team. Of those top 4 scorers, 3 of the 4 have more assists than goals. Tyler Christ right now is that goal leader with 19, but Spencer Corona, 4 goals, 32 assists as a centerman. That is team chemistry, right? That's knowing the role. And what PAL does is PAL knows those roles. They know the guys that can skate. They know the guys that need to put themselves in those situations. I like that they've got just enough of these guys that can come back in, provide those leadership roles with a lot of youth as well. Some 03s mixed in there. In the top 5 points getters, you've got 301s, 203s in Luca Layton and Peter Copetti. I think I really like the balance. I agree with you on this one, Dan. I think that PAL team is that second place team potentially, even though they're in the same division, or maybe because they're in the same division as the Hitmen.
And don't forget, they don't have just one, but potentially two of the top 5 netminders in all of the NCDC right now, in Cam Smith and Harrison Chesney. Smith is 9.50-0, 9.35 saves percentage, Lucas. That is best in the league right now over Eberle of the Northern Cyclones, Christopher Eberle. I mean, then you look at Harrison Chesney. He's a 9.23 with a 2.54 goals against. Neither of their netminders giving up more than 2.5 goals a game. It's hard to beat a team that doesn't give up 3 or more. Like, this is a team that every single game they're getting stops. They play from the net out. I mean, they're similar. The crazy thing is they play in the building of the Big Islanders Club, right? They play in that facility in the Northwell Health Ice Center. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous track out there in a beautiful part of Long Island. Tough to get to sometimes for us Jersey folk, but absolutely beautiful track. And you're playing in the same building that Barry Trotz is in right now, and they're playing that style. They're winning the forecheck. They're getting in deep. They're playing the puck well. They know how to make the pass. They can hit, and more importantly, they get the play from the net out. They block shots all around this PAL team. To me, last year, Lucas, I said I thought they were a piece away from winning a title. They might have all those pieces this year in a really parity-filled season.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that South Division is so interesting too, because you look at teams like the Rockets Hockey Club, the Connecticut Junior Rangers, both 5-3-1-1 in their last 10. As long as you can get more wins than losses, right? In that last 10 games, you find yourself on the up and up. We know that the Connecticut Junior Rangers pride themselves on being that second half team, right? Year after year, that Jim Henkel-led squad in the second half, they find a way to start moving up the ladder. Wouldn't be surprised to see that, but the South is an extremely competitive division.
Lucas, I'm going to read through this right now, and this is going to be a little annoying for folks who hate numbers, but give me a minute, okay? This is the last 10 games played for every team in the NCDC. Every team. 4-3-1-2, 7-3-0, 6-4-0, 4-4-2-0, 5-4-0-1, 5-5-0-0, 3-6-0-1, 7-3-0, 6-4-0, 4-6-0. 5-3-1-1, 5-3-1-1, 5-4-1-0. It is nearly 500 for every single team. The furthest over 500 you get is a 700 win percentage. Nobody's won 8 out of 10. Nobody's won 9 out of 10. Nobody's on some huge win streak this year. Those don't exist in the NCDC. This almost comes down to the old, like, Joe Girardi, Buck Showalter baseball mentality in a 3-game series. Take 2 out of 3 and you're happy. PAL has been doing that. The Hitmen have been doing that. PAL just played Utica, right? Winner of that series would have been in second, loser in first. If anybody swept, they might have been in first overall. PAL takes 2 out of 3. You took care of business at home. You're happy with a 2 out of 3 right now. You're happy with 1 out of 2 when you go into a 2-game double dip. When you go to a showcase, if you go 2-1, you come out of there with 4 or 5 points. Crazy enough, 6 if you can get 3 in a weekend. It's a game changer right now. Every single team is in striking distance.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is a team like Connecticut, right, that we just talked about with 26 points, Jersey Hitmen with 31 points, but I think more importantly, Utica with 29. The Connecticut Junior Rangers are a 2-win weekend away from jumping to third if Utica does poorly. So you look at a team that is in 5th, heavy on the air quotes like Connecticut, you're a couple games away, and you can bear down and you can pull out, like you say, those Joe Girardi mentality, get 2, get 3. It's okay if we drop 1. It's okay if we drop 2, as long as we bounce back. You keep that 5-3-1-1 mentality, you will continue to move.
Yeah, and you've seen it all year. The big thing that's happened, there's no bad team in the NCDC this year. There are younger teams, there are older teams, there are teams that are, that are figuring it out now. There's teams who came out of the gates fast that might be slowing down for moments at a time. There's net minding everywhere in this league. There's goal scoring everywhere in this league. There's physicality everywhere in this league right now. And there is no bell cow. You know what I mean? There's nobody you're just going to look at who's just going to go out there and win every night. The showcases, right? We're going to have the winter showcase in January. There's going to be 8 NCDC teams in attendance. You've seen when North plays South, how many of those games are going to overtime. Why does that happen? Number one, parity, of course. But number two, teams are starting to realize late in those third periods, at a point right now, we need one. We need to guarantee ourselves one. And that's going to be something that's going to change the NCDC complexion as the season goes on. You're going to have to take the point when you can get it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bold prediction at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're waiting until the last minute of the last game to find out playoffs rankings. I just think it's going to go right down to the wire.
100%. I mean, you look at the North Division. I mean, we already talked about the Hitmen, Pal, Utica, Rockets, Connecticut, and Philadelphia. 7 points separate the 6 teams in the South Division. 7 points. That's 3 wins and 1 tie that Philadelphia Hockey Club is away from being in first place. They currently sit in last place. They're 2 points behind fifth. I mean, it's ridiculous. You go to the North, Lucas. Boston's in the lead right now. But don't look now. South Shore, with 2 more games to play than them, they've only played 21, which is tied for the least amount of games played in the league. They're just 3 points back. So they win that 2-game differential. They are the first place team. In between them, really interesting story you pointed out to me before we got in the air, Lucas, the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs.
Yeah, the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs, who actually, funnily enough, when this episode is released, the game between the Junior Bruins and the Monarchs will be over. That game is at 2:10 p.m. on Thursday. So depending on when you're watching this, it may be in progress, it may be over, so go check that out. But this is perfect because you'll immediately get to grade our statements here. The New Hampshire Junior Monarchs, second place, right? Yes, they've got 1 more game than the Junior Bruins, a couple more games than some other teams in the North. Wash that out for a second. Look at the goal differential. -2. A second place team with a -2 goal differential. That, I think, tells a huge story about how close the NCDC is. I think that tells a huge story about the grit, the resolve, the determination of this Monarchs team. We've seen them a bunch. They're one of the teams we've actually done more than a few games for this year. And watching that team, they can hit you with speed. And I've seen them be lightning quick. They can hit you. And I've seen them be physical, right? And they've got guys on that team who, as we say, will run you through the glass back to the state you came from. So I look at a team like the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs, and them sitting in second place with a -2 should scare me. If I'm the Junior Bruins, I think I should be very nervous going into that game. And the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs, after that, have some tough opponents, but a good opportunity to make up some ground on the Junior Bruins potentially.
Yeah, and this is a Monarchs team that they're built around this blue-collar mentality of outwork everyone. That's Coach Edinger's plan, right? And you look at it, there's just one player in the top 20 point getters in the NCDC right now, and Tanner Hartman, who's got 11 and 15. But overall, this team just gets balance in scoring. And then you got guys like Mitchell Day and net who have just been stellar all year long. Leaders like Aiden Curran in the locker room with 6 goals, 15 assists, or Ben Mothersbaugh, Ryan O'Halloran. Like, this is a team that you've not heard the last of yet. They started slow. That's where that plus minus comes from. That's how it's where it is. Watch out for the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs right now with 27 points on the year. For me, I said it all year. I thought it was going to be South Shore and Jersey. It continues to trend in that direction here, Lucas. I like the South Shore team. I love Coach Omicholi. Like this guy, what they're doing right now in South Shore, Lucas. This team is talent. It is speed personified. They play a fun brand of hockey, and they're just great to watch each and every night.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think the one thing that I like about what South Shore does is South Shore never lets themselves get behind, right? We've watched them give up some leads, so they're behind on the scoreboard, but they never get behind mentally. Right. They never really allow themselves to feel the weight of any swing of the game. I think that speaks a lot to their resolve and why they're so tough. And they've got depth in scoring. They've got 8 guys at double-digit points right now. You're looking at guys all up and down that produce on the power play. That power play line for South Shore, the power play unit is tough. There's a lot of skill sitting over there.
100%. I mean, and then Northern and Twin City, Lucas, before we go to kind of talk through the stat leaders, we talked about we needed a team that we thought might surprise some folks here heading into the second half of the season. We're getting to that second half portion of the season. for me, Bill Flanagan, the whole Flanagan family, Joe, Bill, Kaylee, Bay, they don't lose. They're not lose. They don't know how to lose. They don't know how to continually lose. This is a team that started off a little undersized from Cyclones teams. They will not like me making that Freudian slip, Lucas. The Cyclones and Monarchs love each other off the ice, but not on it. But I mean, this is a Cyclones team that I just think Coach Flanagan's figured it out. He's gotten his claws into this thing now. We saw them play the Hitmen tough. We've seen them play the Junior Bruins tough. They just went in a shootout. Watch out for what Coach Flanagan's got coming at you in the second half of this season. This team right now, sitting there in striking position, 22 points on the year, just 6 points back of the first place Bruins. Anybody's ball game. They could do it. And Lucas, I think you have a team that's tied to them right now in the standings technically.
Yeah, I'm looking at Twin City, and I think that the Twin City Thunder are pretty primed here. I've watched a little. I confess to watching some NCDC from time to time, and the Twin City Thunder usually high up on my list because of the fantastic production that they've got up there. And I just find myself game after game, Dan, getting really impressed with this team. I think the way they play physically, sure, the way that they play tough, absolutely. But I think the biggest thing for me with Twin City is that they're not really afraid to kind of get out there and play some tough hockey, play loose hockey if they have to, right? Play whatever kind of hockey that the game kind of calls for there. And I just think that with the schedule that they've got in the back half of December here, Boston Advantage, South Shore Kings, Islanders Hockey Club, and then closing things out with the Junior Bruins, I think Twin City can really put the rest of that North Division on notice. You can pick up 3 of 4. You go into the break a very happy team.
Let us know who you think will be the surprise team in the NCDC second half of the season. Reach out to us at @the_Dan Show, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Go follow us on all those. And remember to vote for your Holiday Follow Challenge squad. Vote for your squad by going to any of those handles I just named, at @the_Dan Show, reaching out with #HolidayFollowChallenge. That's #HolidayFollowChallenge. And the team you'd like us to go see. The winner gets a broadcast day from the Dan K Show for free. We'll be back for a quick little segment touching on the top scorers and goaltenders the NCDC has to offer after this quick break.
The Dan K Show would like to thank all of our fantastic sponsors for the work that they do. If you're interested in partnering with the Dan K Show, reach out to @the_Dan K Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you too can work with the most watched show in junior hockey.
Welcome back, everyone. And I have usurped the beginning of this segment a bit here from Dan K, but for a good cause, I promise, because I meant
What's
to talk.
usurped mean?
It means to steal from in a manner with much trickery or much force. So you get to decide which one you felt. Did you feel more tricked, or did you feel that I stole it from you physically?
I'm more of I like trick or treat, like Halloween. I mean, nothing was spooky.
It's like trick or treat. The trick would be that I took the segment from you, and the treat is what the segment will be.
Is it like how I usurped your usurpation of this segment by cutting you off and asking you what usurped meant?
Well done. Outplay, outlast, outwin, Dan K. I wanted to talk about a player. I had him on a sticky note. I didn't get a chance to really go through it. Ben Mothersbaugh from the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs. We were talking, obviously, about the Monarchs and how many times we've watched this team in person. And I think Ben Mothersbaugh, who's an 04, that's the biggest thing. So impressed with the way that he plays the game. 6', 195. He's an 04. And I think there's so much more room for development on a player that's already so impactful, on a player that already seems to understand the fundamentals of the game. I've been so impressed with him, Dan. I wanted to bring it up and make sure that people were looking out for these young guys, these 04s, right? As the NCDC, the point is to scout younger, right? And give these guys a chance to develop.
Yeah, the Big Ben Mothersbaugh, man. Big Ben always comes up in the timely moments. This young athlete has been incredible all year. And now let's talk about some of the other incredible athletes of the NCDC, Lucas. We're going to go through the top 5 in each of the major categories in skaters and goaltenders. We start with the top 5 goal scorers in the USPHL. Overall, number 1, Tyler Christ of the Pal Junior Islanders with 19. Timothy Hankey of the South Shore Kings, 17 of his. Easton Ryan of the Boston Junior Bruins with 14, tied with Cade Helmer of the Boston Advantage, 14 of his own, and Patrick Marcinkovic sinks it in the back of the net 13 times. He's in a four-way tie with Dylan Lucas, his teammate, Andre Lavushkin of the Connecticut Junior Rangers, and the Baron Woodring. Lucas, who's the name you want to talk about out of that top goal scoring list?
I mean, I think the most interesting one there is probably, I'm looking at Easton Ryan. That name really sticks out to me. Easton Ryan in 03, the 14 goals, like you mentioned, scored more than a point per game, very active on the power play, just a really complete player, right? He does it all. And I think that the fact that he's up there and the goal scored shows how good he is, obviously, but I think that's a name that really sticks out.
Yeah, and I also screwed up one of his goal calls this year. Luckily, he was credited a goal, and they didn't listen to me. I mean, I screwed that one up, but Easton Ryan's still incredible, still tearing it up. Assist getters, your top 5 assist getters in the NCDC. Spencer Corona has helped crack open the net 32 times this year. Patrick Marcinkovic, top 5 in goals. Number 2 in assists with 25. John Gutt, it's a gut check. The Utica Junior Comets centerman with 24. Johnny Wesco, go Johnny go, with 21. Brandon Semino, Dylan Lugras, Sean Melso, Joe Salamini, who's not nice to the defenseman anywhere. This guy, they're all sitting there with 20. Lucas, I'll talk about Corona first here. Look at Spencer Corona. You got Chris with 19 goals. That means there's got to be a big assist guy, right? Chris is stellar. We've been watching him for years now. He's a guy, if I'm a scout, I'm salivating over the opportunity to bring him in. Now you look at Spencer Corona, 32 helping hands. This guy's the hamburger helper, but instead of hamburgers, he's helping goals. He would be that big mitt, but with a hockey stick in it. The mitt with the face that always scared me as a kid. That's what he'd be doing, putting pucks in the back of the net.
While a very disturbing mental image for sure, I get it. It's correct. I definitely like it. I know you and I have talked a little bit during the Utica games about John Gutt. I think he's had a fantastic season, but I do want to bring some attention to Sean Melso, the left defenseman for the Jersey Hitmen. And he's a helping hand, right? 20 assists, 8 points on the power play. I always love it when a defenseman helps out the team. I know the Hitmen are very accurate with crediting their assists, and it shows up here. And you need that, right? Because being a defenseman, defense doesn't show up on the score sheet. So when the defenseman who is as good at the defensive end as Melso is also gets some of that attention for being an assist guy, especially on the power play with 7 assists, I think that's huge. And I think he's one of a kind. Yeah,
and he's making things happen for the Jersey Hitmen. And speaking of making things happen for the Jersey Hitmen, how about the top point getter in all the land, Patrick Marcinkovic with 38, followed by Spencer Corona, 36, Dylan Lugras, 33, John Gutt, 32, and Joe Salamini, 31. Lucas, to round out the top goals, assists, and point getters, no better guy to talk about than Patrick Marcinkovic. 5 power play goals and 12 power play assists on the year, Lucas. That 12 number, that's also the most power play assists on the planet in the NCDC. He's got a shorthanded goal as well. He scored 2 game winners. Right now, if you asked me to pick the player of the first half in the NCDC, this would be my guy.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And I think that now this is a really good opportunity to not quite circle back around, but to talk about John Gutt a little bit as well. And I think he's really been standout for this Utica side. This is his 3rd season with Utica. He's got 66 total points for them. He's an assist guy through and through. He has got some hands, man. Just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and then you go through, let's look at the power play. Let's look at the special teams, right? Marcinkovic's leading the way with 12 power play assists. Lucas with 11, his teammate. That's ridiculous. No one coming close. Baron Woodring leading the way with 7 power play goals this year of his 13 scored. Johan Rosenquist, 6 power play goals of his 11 scored. Dylan Lugras, Kyle Mandler, the manhandler, Patrick Marcinkovic, Easton Ryan, Connor Wood, Michael Bensavano, all with 5 power play goals. Baron Woodring, Lucas, this is a guy that's just got size, and he's always in the right place with the puck. He's always doing the right thing when he's out there. Coach Kersner loves this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a guy that's on my short list of players that I'm not allowed to interview on the ice because it's a different climate where they're up there compared to where I am down here, 5'8.5". But yeah,
Very
he's
clever use of short list, by the way.
there we go.
Ah,
But I think the size is not the story for him. It's everything else. The size is a perk. The size is an add-on. And when you've got a player that where the size is a nice addition and to a complete skill set, I think that's huge.
speaking of huge, let's go between the pipes here for some of the best netminders in the NCDC so far halfway through the season. In 19 games played, the winning leader, Mitchell Day of the Monarchs with 12 wins on the season, 12-5, 1-0. Peyton Grainer of the Hitmen with 10, tied with Colin. All he does is win, 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 no matter what. 10 as well. Cam Smith of Powell with 9, and a three-way tie at 8 wins for Gino Pachoro of the Rockets Hockey Club, Connor Bradford of the Advantage, and Sebastian Woods of the Utica Junior Comets. Lucas talked about Mitchell Day already as we talked about the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs. How about Peyton Grainer of the Jersey Hitmen?
Just impressive. Just absolutely impressive. The calm, right? It's the calm before the storm, because those saves, they're so tight to the body, but also the ability to kind of move from side to side to get out there and make those flashy saves when necessary. But I love watching Grainer play. It is a total command of the space around the net.
Talking about commanding the net, you have to when you lead the league in shots against. Mitchell Day, Lucas. Not only does he have the most wins, he has seen the most shots with 672 shots against him, a 9.33 saves percentage, 1 shutout on the year. He's got 3 shootout wins as well. Wow, Mitchell Day.
You are talking about an average of 33 shots a game. 34.
That's quick math.
That's some quick maths right there. New Hampshire Junior Monarchs players, help them out. They get in front of and they get in front of a lot of shots as a team. I don't know if I can ask that team to get in front of more shots, but maybe Mitch Day can convince them. That's a huge workload.
He is dominating, and close behind him with 653 shots against is Colin Wynn. And Colin Wynn got off to a streaky start, okay? Yeah. He came out of the gates, and it looked like he might be on pace for the greatest season in NCDC history. That's how good this young man was playing early on in the season. 3 shutouts to his name in his 20 starts, but he saw a lot of time in net early, Lucas. How do you see the rest of the season going for Colin? Because I think this is a guy who he is going to be so battle-tested for the next level of the game of hockey by the time he's done working with Mike Anderson here in Boston. I think this guy is a superstar in the making between the pipes.
I think so too. And don't let my advice supersede the advice of the Junior Bruins highly trained coaching staff. Maybe take a break for Colin Wynn here. When you start off really strong, right, and you become the workhorse, and then you start to struggle, that's that time to take that deep breath, right? That well-timed holiday break that everyone's going to get for a couple of weeks. We've seen netminders in the Premier pull themselves out of games when they're not ready. They come back in later and they lock it down. So maybe this is a well-timed holiday break for Colin. Obviously an impressive skill set. You don't get to be streaky unless you're good.
Yeah.
So obviously he's got the skill set. Just maybe take that little reset and come back strong.
Yeah, and you look about, speaking of being strong in net, how about Cam Smith, your leader in saves percentage at 9.35 for Pal, followed by Christopher Eberle of the Northern Cyclones, who we have not spoken enough about yet. Eberle, a 9.34 saves percentage, 2.37 goals against. He's played 888 minutes in net. That's the old infinity signs. He's been playing there forever there, the triple infinity. He's only allowed 35 goals this season on 528 shots faced. This guy's 7-6-0-1 for a Cyclones team that they've had their ups and downs this year. They're on an upswing right now with a netminder like Eberle. They are in every game.
Yeah, and that's extremely important. You look at what Northern does with their goals against, and their goals against is right in line with some of the better defenses in the league, and it starts from Eberle. You just want to see that offense maybe tick up just a hair, right? Just get that extra bit of support. But Eberle's been fantastic, really, really dependable in net, and I think his numbers show that.
Exciting first half of the season. We're at just about that halfway mark, just slightly below that halfway mark in the NCDC schedule, coming close to the winter showcase, coming close to that winter break. If you are an NCDC player right now, let's put the pedal to the metal. Let's hit the gas. Let's go. We're going to drive in the empty net now to close out this show like we do every week. NCDC Hockey, let us know who your NCDC champ is this year with hashtag Deneen2022. Let us know who you think is going to win the cup, who's bringing it home this season. I know Lucas and I have our ideas, but we're not going to put them out just yet. Welcome to the empty net.
All right, it's time for the empty net, everyone's favorite segment where we talk to you. You sometimes yell at us, and then we yell at you, but all through the keyboard. It's caps lock, sometimes a GIF. It's a lot. But now we get a chance to talk in person. And the biggest thing we want to mention, we just did our standings update for the Holiday Follow Challenge. That's on all our social media platforms right now. And speaking of all social media platforms, if you've already voted, don't vote again. We know what you're doing. We respect it, but it's against the rules. So don't vote a second time. You get one vote per social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. That is 4 total votes. Go hashtag Holiday Follow Challenge, tag us, and then let us know which team you'd like to go to. It can be a comment, a DM, whatever. You can also go to the link in description, buy yourself an ugly holiday sweater jersey. That's 3 extra points. Will we have more point opportunities coming soon? Maybe. We don't want to get into that just yet, but maybe.
Maybe. We'll see. And Lucas, with that, before we close this thing out, before I get your incredible parting words, which I am looking very, very, very forward to, I do want to congratulate Drake Barnish. We just chatted with Drake, and, you know, the great Gary Heenan at Utica College finds Drake somehow and sees Drake Barnish and says, you know, the all-time leading goal scorer in the USPHL Premier, scoop, score. Let me bring him to Utica. Commitment for Drake Barnish to the incredible Utica College. Congratulations to Drake Barnish, one of the best young men in the game, dominating this year with 66 points, 33 goals, 33 assists. Drake has been stellar. Lucas, speaking of stellar, let's hear those parting words. Ooh, look at that, Holiday Follow Challenge. Just do that, read that, folks. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night. DanKShow.com is where you go for us. Thank you to Elite Junior Profiles. Go to EliteJRProfiles.com to get your disc enhanced profile today set up. Go to remasteredsleep.com. Stop yourself from snoring. That's annoying. Snoring's the worst. Don't do it anymore. Buy a water bottle. Use Dan K Show 10 at checkout. Get 10% off. It's as simple as that. Go to remasteredsleep.com. USPHL.com, the best league in all the land. Dan K, Lucas Jones. Thanks for watching. That's it.
That's it.
Go
Go
get out of
that
here.
Holiday Follow Challenge thing, because tell you what, as a procrastinator, what always happens, right? You say you're going to do it, you put it up on your whiteboard, which is right here now. You put it right here, and then you go do a bunch of other stuff, Christmas shopping, what have you. And then all of a sudden you go, oh no, it's January 1st, 12:45 a.m. The voting's closed.
Don't be Larry David from this past episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Spoiler alert, but he decided, Lucas said the guy in front of him was voting for the other guy, and he was voting for his guy. So he said, you know what, we could both just leave the line. We both don't need to vote. Evens out. So let's just both go home. And they went home. Bad choice.
Don't do that.